Well, Paul then goes on, and that's just verse 1. Paul goes on here and he says we need to carry each other's burdens. You see, there's way too much of pointing fingers at each other in the church and not enough of let me come alongside you and help you with this struggle. And that's what needs to be happening. And I love the way Paul phrases this. He says, carry each other's burdens. Because the person who is strong today might be the person who is weak and entrapped tomorrow and needs somebody else to come alongside of them. Well, then Paul gets into the effects of the conceit and the envy. Conceit thinks they are something when they are nothing, he says. Instead, each person should really take a look at themselves and test their own actions instead of comparing themselves to others. What do you think Paul means here when he says each one should carry their own load? No one else is living my life, right? Nobody else has my background, for good or for ill, right? I mean, there are things from my background that have been a great benefit. There are probably some things in my background that have been a hindrance. Nobody else has that background. Nobody else has my spiritual giftedness. You have your giftedness. You have your giftedness. You have your giftedness. Nobody else is responsible for the opportunities the Lord has given me but me. Okay, so the idea here is that we need to examine ourselves. And how am I doing in that walk? How am I doing in that responsibility? How am I doing in living for Jesus with the opportunities he is giving me to live for Jesus? And part of loving and caring for one another here, he says, is providing for your spiritual teachers. Now, what we see here in verses 1 through 6, remember what the primary issue is that Paul is writing about in Galatians. What is that? Okay, church was being divided over those who were wanting to go back to kind of the law and those who were walking in grace and grace alone. Okay, so that's the main issue of the book of Galatians. So how do you think what Paul writes here in verses 1 through 6 would be put into practice with the primary issue of Judaizers in the church leading some astray? If somebody in the church is being influenced or swayed toward circumcision or back towards the law, according to verses 1 through 6, what is the other church member's responsibility? To go to them, right? To go to them and try to correct them and lovingly teach them and show them. And it's not just, here are 5 verses. You need to know what these 5 verses say, and I'll check back with you in 6 months. No, it's anytime you have a question, anytime you have a need, I am here for you. And I am gonna be in contact with you. And in fact, let's get together. Let's get together in the next couple of days and sit down and spending time with them. And it's building a relationship, a depth of relationship where there's accountability and where you walk with them as they are being influenced and as they are being swayed. You walk with them in order to hold them tight away from that. It's very much it's very relational, what Paul is talking about here. Very relational.